Oh, Saners. Saners. It's been an absolute while since I've had a red one out after a win, especially against Port Adelaide. And if you're just joining us, it is the round 4 review. I am in, as my dad wants me to mention it, because I'm here watching it with the fam, which was a very nice treat to see Mum and the family up and about after that. It's the Batoni Winery, whatever you want to call it, Batoni Villa, and we've got a nice Shiraz here, not usually my taste, but it's still red wine, and it still tastes beautiful after beating Port Adelaide by 17 points, 72 to 89. That is exactly what I wanted to see. Firstly, the start of the game. Wow. We absolutely came out of the blocks. That is the polar opposite of what we saw in round 1, which was just a massive tick for me, is that psychologically, we didn't let round 1 dictate how we were going to go about this game, which made me really proud as a Sainer to see us go there and really stamp our say on the game, our game plan, the aggressiveness of it. And it looked relentless. It looked like Port really had no response to that, and the only way we were going to allow Port back into the game was poor decision-making and maybe going into our shells a little bit, which I think maybe we did, but our composure, again, similar to the Geelong game, where Geelong really came back hard and could have easily won the game. With 10 minutes to go in the Geelong game, we composed ourselves and they didn't kick another goal after that point. Exactly the same with Port. I think Georgiades kicks a goal or Ollie Lord kicks a goal. We get nervous, but then for basically 6-7 minutes, they don't score and we kick a clutch goal and it seals the game. And Jack Higgins was a highlight in the front half. But I just want to shout out, please, everyone, raise your glasses, because Lance Collard, he gets better every single week. Lance Collard, mate, I love you. Last week it was Max Hall. This week it's Lance Collard. That mark, as you guys would have seen in my Insta story, taking the piss out of Mark Rasciuto and his commentary and his bias, the whole commentary box did not do Lance Collard's moment justice. It was enormous. It was match-winning. It was on a bigger player. The skill to know to nudge him under the ball and then take that mark and then to snap it like that in a clutch moment, this kid is special. And he's not the only one. Darcy Wilson's goal, Nasiah's goal on the run. It was just everything that we've been building up in the last 2 weeks to really see it shine in clutch moments against a team that made a prelim last year, against a team that has won 14 of our last 15, is something that cannot be put to the side this week. I'm sorry, but media out there, you've got to give us credit. That was monumental, and I don't think they're going to give us the credit, but that remains to be seen. But geez, Jack McRae lifted, because we had no Jack Steele. People forget that. They get Butters back, we don't get Steele back. We still had an undermanned midfield, but Jack McRae lifted. Garcia started really well. Windy, they got into him. He was kind of tagging a few different blokes. And the more the game went on, the more I was nervous, mainly about Georgiades. Georgiades kind of radically Aaliyah in the back half, because we continually kicked it on their heads, which just didn't work for us because we didn't have any support subbing off Isaac Kilda. And in the front half, and Horn Francis. Like, that bloke, they almost don't deserve him at the moment, Port, because he's the only, to me, he responded from last week, but he almost won them the game. So the back half was brilliant. Webster was huge. I thought Caminiti had a really good game, barring a couple of moments. Stocker and his tackle, mate. People questioning why Stocker's in a team this week, in a game that needs toughness, because Port were out here to intimidate us by pushing us around, by starting little spot fires here and there. And I loved that we didn't go into our shells and let them do that. We gave it back, and then we gave it back on the scoreboard. That was the absolute treat, is that they threw the kitchen sink at us in the second quarter, in the third quarter, and they bridged the margin by what? A point? Maybe less than, maybe 4 or 5 points in that entire hour of football between Q1 and Q4. That is maturity for me, Sainers. That is the sign of a team that knows how to take it, control it, and then give it back. And I think it was in the third quarter, Higo kicks that clutch goal. We get away late. Red time goal, tick. Fourth quarter, Collard, tick. Red time goal. It's so nice to see that we're just so dangerous when we move the ball in that aggressive manner. In the first 20 minutes of the last quarter, it looked like we were trying to save the game. And I was saying to my mum, I'm like, if we try and save this game for the whole quarter, it's not going to work. We need to kick at least one goal. We kicked a goal. Lance Collard, last goal of the game. pretty much seals the game, which was absolutely huge. And obviously Jack Sinclair's goal. Sorry, I can keep forgetting Jack Sinclair and how influential that goal was to seal the game. And Nasiah's ballsiness to go for it, dribble it, and then kick the goal. You know, I said it in the preview, I said it in the lead up. It's good to beat Geelong. They're our bunnies. We do that every year at Marvel. It's perfectly fine. It's good to beat Richmond in the way that we did. Not just beat them, but beat them well. Look at what Brisbane did. Didn't show them the respect, obviously, and they only won by, 28 points? We beat them by 82 or 83, whatever it was. But then to go away to Port, and to do that at a ground we've been thumped out already this year, and at a ground that we've only won at maybe, twice in about 10 years? That's a shifting of the guard. That is a shifting of mentality of just where this football club is at. Kane Collins, we are not a bottom 4 team. Bottom 4 teams don't go and win 3 in a row. They don't do what we did today. That's what a potential top 8 team does. And I don't want to say the lid's off, Saners. I don't want to say the lid's off. I mean, we've got the Giants next week, which is going to be very, very difficult. And they had a big win today. Hogan's going to be an absolute handful, as is a lot of their players. But if we can get Max King back, I don't know. You know, Kilda, again, was one of the spots on the ground where we were losing pretty much 9 out of 10 contests. Mitch Owens, again, he was huge in the first half in particular, breaking even against bigger blokes, kicking goals. His left foot snaps are actually becoming Jack Higgin-esque. He just kicks them every time. Mason Wood lifted again, kicked a goal. Rowan Marshall battled in the ruck against Jordan Sweet, who was a decent competitor against him. And for the majority of the game, I thought our back half handled Port pretty well, apart from the leads. Like Caminiti got caught out on about 3 or 4 occasions. But as I was telling my mum, if you look at where we allowed them to take those marks, they kicked maybe half the score, maybe a bit less than half. It was wide positions, and I feel like that is a deliberate ploy from our midfield to plug the gaps in the back half in the centre and push them wide. And Georgiades kicked one, I think, dead through the middle. The rest of them, I think, all missed, if I'm not mistaken. Pal Pepper missed a couple. And then, you know, that almost is the difference in the game, because they had more marks inside 50 than us. But we pushed them into positions where it was maybe a 30% chance of kicking a goal, as opposed to Central, which maybe is a 70 to 80% chance, given how good some of their set shot kickers are. So, Sainers, it is a night to celebrate. I am just 3-1. 3-1 after 4. I don't think many people would have expected that. But we made up for round 1, and we're on a bit of a roll now. And if we can get some of these players back that have been injured for the majority of the season, we go into next week and Jack Steele isn't in, and Max King isn't in. And the Flying Viking played Sandy today and took a few good marks. Who's to say he doesn't debut in a couple of weeks' time? Maybe against the Dogs would be unbelievable at Marvel. It's exciting to be a Sainer and to see the effort. We've gotten effort for 3 full games in a row, and that is something we're not really accustomed to. So if we can do it for next week and the weeks beyond, we're setting our season up nicely, because going into the season with the fixtures that we have, we said the first 7-8 games would decide our season. If we get through the first 7-8 games and we're still in the 8, we're in an absolute quality position. So I'm so proud of the boys, as cliched as that sounds, but I am. And to watch it with the fam was just an absolute icing on the cake. And Ross Lyon, masterclass coach, he was in fine form on the agenda setters, and he was absolutely in fine form again in the box. And the players, they all know their role. They all know exactly what they need to do. They trust their teammates. We've got a little bit of X factor now with some of these blokes. We're not as vanilla as some people think. And if we can just continue surprising people week in, week out, we're going to be in for a hell of a season. So on that note, Sainers, put your thoughts in the comments. 5 things we learned will be out later tonight. I'm going to try and do it early if I can. And yeah, absolutely stoked. That is our best win of the season by far. Our best win in a while. To beat Port away from home. When they've been under pressure, they needed to respond. They got Butters back. We don't have our captain Jack Steele out there. And we go there with a bunch of kids and some senior players in fine form. And we get the job done to the tune of 17 points. That's a statement. That's what I said. If we win this game, that's a statement. And I think we just did that, Sainers. On that note, enjoy the rest of your weekend, Sainers. Take care, and as always, go you mighty Sainers. See you guys. That was so good.